Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Yogi Valley YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. So today, talking about self-sabotage disguised as self-love, and this is such an interesting thing that I still sort of find I do myself sometimes. Is that I sometimes turn to the darkest corners of myself and sort of reposition these activities as like an act of self-care. So, even things like say if I've been like particularly watching my like what I'm eating or something like that, and then there's like the little kind of egoic voice that comes up that says like, you deserve this, like just one, and then like you have like whatever, like some sort of bad food or something like that, and but it could be anything, it could be any one of those things where you've sort of been on what you call the right track, and then you sort of give in to that little voice that says, "Go on, have a treat," and in that moment, it feels like an act of self care, like you deserve this. And hey, like you do deserve it. Maybe you do, right? But in that moment, what is described as or disguised as self love is actually sabotage, and is actually a sort of back door for the ego to come back in and act as if it's doing something good for you. Um, the real act of self love comes from discipline sometimes, not just giving in to every little thought that you have about what you might like. And a good way of sort of looking at this and kind of describing this, I suppose, would be like if every time you're like, if you had a kid, every time your kid asked for something, you just said yes. Like that, is that self love, or is that love for your child? Like, no, like that would not be, a very loving relationship. It would be a very sort of like just giving up and sort of, borderline abusive relationship. If every time your kid was like, I don't want dinner, I want to just eat dessert, and you said, okay, like that would actually be a relationship in which you don't care, right? So we can sometimes get into this thing in terms of our self love, self sabotage patterns where we give in to those demands of the mind, demands of the ego, and call it self love when actually it's self abandonment. So, what is it in you that makes these things come up? What even is that phenomena when you're sort of on a good path, and then there is like the question of I want, or like I'm gonna, or anything like that. And always these movements come from usually a reaction. It's like a reactive thing, like maybe you see the thing that you're trying to avoid, and there's like that little like reactive thing, or like it's an advertisement that sort of comes up, or a certain smell triggers you, and then you're like all of a sudden you're there. But then sometimes it's completely unconscious as well, and maybe you're sort of like kind of, I don't know, on a diet or whatever you're doing, and then without even realizing, all of a sudden you're at the fridge, kind of doing whatever you're doing, going to town a little bit, and it's been a completely unconscious movement that's taken you there. So there are certain triggers, and then there are certain unconscious elements that happen as well. So if it's like a sort of trigger type of thing that happens, if it's like something happens and it like invokes a reaction that then needs to be quelled, that can be quite quick, like that, and there is an opportunity when a trigger comes to witness that. You feel it, oh, I've been triggered, and just being able to have the awareness of what's happened. So if a trigger happens, and without you'll feel it initially in the body. It'd be like a visceral reaction, and then it will try and make its way into your thoughts, and then the reaction hijacks the thought, and then like makes it the most appealing thing in the world in your mind, and then you've got to go and do it. So if you can, if you feel that pull and that urge to go and do the activity or like consume the thing, just see if you can hold it where it landed. See if you can just witness it in the body or in the heart or in the emotion, without letting it make that vital connection to the brain to then start actioning the thing. Because that's sort of where the you've got to sort of cut the head off the serpent a little bit. It gets you, the visceral reaction is there, but don't let it connect to the mind and thoughts, because then they perpetuate themselves as well, right? So then the initial things happen, you've had the smell, you've had the sensation in life, it triggers the reaction, and then the thought starts to come in, but then the thought starts making the body react as well, because you're thinking about the thing, and it's like, and they start winding each other up. So you got to just keep it in this one place and not let thought come. So if you do feel that reaction, you don't even have to go into the mind about how disciplined you want to be. You don't have to be like, nah, not me, not today, I'm like, it doesn't have to be all of that. It can just be, there's a triggering movement there. And if you sit with it and if you just watch it and you just feel it for what it is, it's just an energy, just like a little entity floating around, trying to find something to link to make itself bigger. That's what it wants to do. It wants to grow, and it wants to grow, and it's almost like a little phantom parasite trying to get something to happen. So if it comes in, you just watch it, you just catch it, and not even with a sense of force or trying to be like repressing it or anything like that. Oh no, like, because that's just going to go eventually, and then you'll be way worse off than you were in the beginning, right? So with a sense of interest and inquiring, okay, I've been triggered here. Why? Why have I been triggered? What was it? What does the feeling even feel like? Can I locate where it happened in my inner world? What color is it? All of these understanding things, and actually looking more deeply at it rather than looking away from it and trying to distract from it, is so much more healthy. But we have all of these techniques that we use in our lives to distract ourselves from what we're feeling, and the addiction or whatever it is that you're trying to abstain from is probably just one of those mechanisms, which is why you're getting triggered and then taking action to go and do it in the first place. So to stop all of that, to stop this repetitive cycle, just be with the initial feeling. And if you do miss it, and it manages to gain enough traction that it does hijack your thought and then subsequently your action, and then you go and like action the thing like a kind of addicted zombie, which can super happen. You can be completely unconscious and go and do the thing, and then you're left to pick up the pieces after, and you're like, can't believe it, I'm here again. But listen, that thought, I can't believe I'm here again, is part of that same mechanism, right, of keeping you low. So if it does happen, and you've used your self-love disguised as self-sabotage again, whatever it is, if it's substance, if it's an action, even if it's like I just need to text them for some closure when you've been on no contact, it could be anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be addiction, it's just an example, but it's all part of the same thing. Pain arises, I need a solution from the outside, right? That's always the mechanism. Pain, need a solution somehow, right? So the new thing is pain, pain. Okay. Let me be with that. Let me sit with that pain. Let me not draw from outside of myself to try and resolve this, because it never will. It will distract. It will put a coating on it, but then the pain is not resolved, right? So if you do succumb and you do whatever the thing was that you didn't want to do, that's the next opportunity now to let go. right? Because we can then build up a big thing. Like, well, once the dam's broken, then we go into this completely catastrophic downward cycle where we just we're back in it again, in the pain seeking relief cycle. So if you do it once, doesn't matter. Okay, step back out into presence. Don't have this big story about how you failed and all of that time wasted. It's not. It's only wasted if like that's it. Now you're back in it. So the first opportunity, which is the better one, is to catch the pain as it's a visceral reaction in the body and not let it make connection with your thought action process. If you can't catch it and you act on this self-soothing impulse, then that's when the acceptance comes in. Okay, that time I didn't catch it in time. Next time I'm going to, and it's like that. Boom, gone, and you're back on the path. You will though get to a point where you can feel pain's trying to brew, right? So it doesn't even have to get to the crescendo. You can feel it kind of trying to brew in the heart space. It's trying to trigger me right now. And that's where you catch it. So before it even develops into a full pain body experience, you can feel it. Or maybe you see something happening over there and you think, this might trigger me. But the trick to that is as well, though, you don't become avoidant then. Like if you notice something's might be happening over there that might give you a pain body reaction, you don't then have a pain body reaction because you might have had a pain body reaction. This is how we get too sensitive and then you come full circle and start trying to control the world again. Like just in case something triggers you. That's a terrible way to live, right? You need to trust yourself that if you get triggered, you can catch it before it gets to the mind. All right. And then none of this is an issue, right? It's not for you to control the world so it doesn't trigger you. It's for you that if it does happen, that there's a trigger in response to something and it's making you want to self-soothe in some sort of destructive way that you're trying to get out of, be the soothing. Don't reach outside. Let your attention and your awareness soothe that flame, and it will so much easily, right? When you're reaching outside to use things to soothe the pain, it's like there's a fire in you and you're throwing wood on the fire to try and stop it. What about porn? What about caffeine? Maybe some cocaine, and like you put it all on there and it just makes it bigger. What about texting my ex? And the fire burns even more brightly. So when you feel that initial movement that happens, when you just take simple attention onto it, it's more like putting a fire blanket over it, and it puts it out. And not, you're not stamping it out crazy, you're not doing anything, just, and it's actually more like you take the oxygen out of the room, because there's nothing to feed the flame then. There's no outside thing. There's no even thought to fan it. That's the first one, the thought. And it gets it kind of embering and then all of this outside stuff, right? And the pain wants more pain, essentially, as well. The pain's like a little entity that wants to perpetuate itself and burn brighter. So, awareness. Oxygen out of the room. Fire. And then you're just there. Oh, I survived the pain cycle without acting on it and self-sabotaging, right? And it's an amazing, amazing thing. So if you feel yourself triggered, great, it's an opportunity. So see it as that. The trigger in itself isn't the failure. Even acting on the trigger isn't a failure. What a failure is if it turns into some big self-sabotaging loop. But even there, if it does get that far, it's never too late to take the oxygen off the fire. Just come back to presence. Presence is waiting for you. It doesn't leave you. You can only leave it. So you're always welcome to come back. All right, guys. Have a lovely rest of your day. Thank you very much.